While European countries continue to debate rising electricity costs and scramble for alternative fuel sources, a quiet energy revolution is unfolding in West Africa, one that no one saw coming. Burkina Faso, one of the world's poorest countries by GDP, has just announced an $800 million solar energy initiative, and the world is stunned. Why? Because this project isn't backed by the World Bank. It's not sponsored by France, nor is it part of any IMF conditional loan. It is, in every sense of the word, homegrown. No handouts, no foreign debt, no permission asked. Under the bold leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso is turning the tables on centuries of dependency. While global media continues to portray African nations as perpetually reliant on international aid, Traoré's government is rewriting the script not with noise, but with action. This isn't a pilot program. It's the largest solar project ever attempted in West Africa. 5 major solar fields will be built across regions once considered too poor, too dry, or too dangerous. The project is expected to generate over 500 megawatts of clean energy, enough to power nearly 3 million homes, industries, hospitals, schools, and even security bases. And yet, perhaps the most powerful part of the story is what's missing. No IMF loan officer dictating conditions. No European consultant earning millions in technical assistance. No Chinese state-owned company bringing in foreign workers. Instead, the entire initiative is being funded through domestic gold revenues, tax reforms, and regional cooperation with allies like Mali and Niger. Burkina Faso is proving what few believe possible, that an African nation, even one burdened by terror, drought, and economic hardship, can stand on its own 2 feet and build its future with its own hands. And this isn't just about electricity, it's about power in every sense of the word. By producing its own energy, Burkina Faso is taking a massive step toward true independence. No longer will it rely on imported fuel or overpriced grid access controlled by former colonial powers. No longer will its farmers wait weeks for power to irrigate their land. No longer will its children study by candlelight while natural sunlight pours down, untapped. The symbolism couldn't be stronger. While Europe experiences energy insecurity, Burkina Faso, a nation labeled fragile in every Western development report, is turning the sun into sovereignty. Captain Traoré has made it clear, we do not beg for power, we generate it. This declaration isn't just a clever slogan, it's a vision of an Africa that does not ask for aid, but builds capacity. An Africa that does not wait for technology to arrive, but develops it. An Africa that refuses to be told it is too poor to dream, too weak to act, or too late to rise. With this solar project, Burkina Faso is no longer just surviving, it's leading, and the world is watching. The real shock isn't the size of the project, it's the fact that it's being done without the West. This is not just about solar panels, it's about self-respect. It's not just a power grid, it's a political statement. Burkina Faso is not asking who will save it. It's showing the world that it can save itself. Burkina Faso's solar energy revolution is not symbolic. It is massive, structured, and rooted in urgent national needs. This is not just a political gesture. It is an energy transformation engineered with precision and purpose. At the heart of this vision lie 5 massive solar power clusters, each strategically placed in regions once dismissed as barren, unstable, or forgotten. These are not bustling cities. These are dry, sun-scorched plains, land that for decades held little economic promise. But now, those same empty horizons are being filled with rows upon rows of solar panels, stretching over thousands of hectares. Places once labeled too remote or too dangerous are becoming the epicenters of Burkina Faso's energy independence. Each of the 5 clusters will serve as a regional power engine, collectively generating over 500 megawatts (MW) of clean, renewable electricity. That figure alone is staggering for a country with Burkina Faso's economic profile. It's enough energy to supply more than 3 million households, cover the national demand for rural electrification, and most importantly, power the country's expanding industrial sectors. One of the core priorities of this solar rollout is its focus on the rural majority. For decades, most rural villages in Burkina Faso lived without access to reliable electricity. Children studied by kerosene lamps. Farmers couldn't refrigerate their produce. Clinics operated with diesel generators, if at all. But Traoré's plan doesn't start with urban elites or capital cities. It starts with the people long left behind. The largest of the 5 solar farms is being built near the Sahelian belt, in a province that was, until recently, partially under extremist control. It's a bold and deliberate choice, turning zones of conflict into hubs of light. Electricity is not just an economic asset here, it is a weapon of peace and a tool of reintegration. Another cluster is being placed near Burkina Faso's mining belt, home to gold, zinc, and manganese operations. The country's mining sector has long been dependent on expensive fuel imports and unstable diesel generators. With these solar plants, mines can operate more efficiently and sustainably, reducing costs, increasing productivity, and expanding employment. Each power station will be interconnected through a new national energy grid, designed not just to deliver energy, but to deliver opportunity. Villages miles apart from one another will now be part of the same electrical ecosystem, enabling trade, schooling, telemedicine, and even small-scale manufacturing. The logistical scale of the project is equally impressive. Over 3,000 kilometers of transmission lines are being laid, not by foreign contractors, but by Burkinabe engineers and technicians, many of whom have been trained under newly launched national energy programs. Each solar farm includes local training centers, where young people, especially in the recently liberated areas, are learning how to maintain and expand the grid for future generations. Captain Ibrahim Traoré has emphasized that this project isn't just about generating power, it's about redistributing power economically, geographically, and symbolically. Rural families will no longer wait decades for the grid to reach them. Those who suffered under extremist occupation will now see solar stations rise in their own backyards. This is about visibility. This is about justice. In many ways, the scale of the project is not measured just in megawatts. It is measured in hope restored, regions reconnected, and lives re-energized. The West has long claimed that such projects in Africa must be gradual, donor-driven, or externally supervised. Traoré's administration has shattered that narrative. With 5 clusters, 500 milliwatt, and a reach that spans from rural farms to mining corridors, Burkina Faso is showing that scale and sovereignty are not mutually exclusive. This is not just a solar rollout, it's a national awakening, one village, one grid, one sunbeam at a time. One of the most remarkable and controversial features of Burkina Faso's $800 million solar energy initiative is not its scale, nor is it the technology, it's the funding source. While most large-scale infrastructure projects in Africa arrive with the familiar banners of funded by the EU, supported by the World Bank, or a China-Africa partnership, this one does not. There are no European flags, no Chinese construction giants, no IMF press releases. Burkina Faso is building this revolution without borrowing a single cent from the West. This is not a coincidence. It's a deliberate act of sovereignty. President Ibrahim Traoré has made it clear, the country's path to development will no longer run through Paris, Brussels, or Beijing. Instead, the foundation of this solar megaproject is being laid with gold, literal gold extracted from Burkina Faso's own soil. For decades, Burkina Faso has been one of the top gold producers in Africa. Yet, little of that wealth ever stayed within the country. Foreign mining corporations, tax loopholes, and exploitative contracts meant billions of dollars flowed out while Burkina's people remained in darkness. That era is over. Traoré's administration has renegotiated mining rights, increased government stakes in extraction operations, and imposed royalty reforms on foreign firms. The result? For the first time in its modern history, Burkina Faso is using its own gold revenue to fund national infrastructure, not to fill foreign bank accounts. A significant portion of the solar project's $800 million price tag comes directly from this gold-backed development fund. This isn't aid. This isn't a loan. This is Burkina Faso investing in itself. But the funding doesn't stop there. The government is also tapping into internal tax reforms and military budget reallocations. In a country where every dollar counts, the administration has made the choice to redirect resources from foreign-dependent energy grids to homegrown, long-term solutions. And they are doing it without delay. Yet what's even more groundbreaking is the regional alliance forming behind this energy vision. Instead of turning to France, the EU, or the US for co-financing, Burkina Faso has partnered with Mali and Niger, 2 neighboring nations that have also severed ties with former colonial powers and military dependencies. Together, The three countries are developing a shared energy corridor, connecting their solar investments to one another. The idea is not just energy independence, but energy solidarity. They are creating a Pan-African energy network where power, both electrical and political, stays within the region. Through a series of bilateral agreements, Mali is providing raw materials and lithium reserves from its southern provinces. Niger is contributing skilled labor and grid infrastructure support, while Burkina Faso is spearheading the solar design, funding, and implementation. It is African cooperation without Western supervision. Critics in international finance circles have labeled this model unsustainable or too risky, but supporters, especially those in Africa's youth movements, see it differently. They see it as the first time in modern history that West African countries are building without begging and collaborating without colonial strings attached. The result is not only a solar grid, it's a political firewall shielding the region from future economic coercion. No Western bank can pause disbursement. No donor agency can threaten compliance reviews. No foreign embassy can dictate energy policy. Burkina Faso's solar transformation is being built on African terms, with African hands and African capital, and that may be more revolutionary than the solar panels themselves. As Traoré himself declared, "We will not borrow light. We will generate it, not with gifts, with grit." The message is simple but seismic. The sun shines equally on all nations. But now, at last, Burkina Faso owns the power to capture it. Burkina Faso's solar revolution isn't just about where the power comes from, it's also about who builds it. In a world where African infrastructure projects are often synonymous with foreign contractors, imported materials, and international consultants earning millions in technical assistance fees, Burkina Faso has chosen a radically different path, one rooted in local talent, local resources, and local ownership. More than 80% of all construction materials for the country's $800 million solar rollout are being sourced directly from within Burkina Faso. From the metal frames that support the panels to the wiring, cement bases, mounting components, and control housing, the majority are produced by Burkinabe-owned factories, cooperatives, and workshops. This is not just a matter of pride. It's a strategic decision to circulate every dollar inside the national economy. Every purchase feeds a local business. Every contract funds a domestic supplier. Every job created builds capacity for the next generation. For the remaining 20% of materials that cannot yet be produced locally, Burkina Faso is sourcing them not from Europe, China, or the United States, but from African allies. High-efficiency panel surfaces are being supplied by Ghana's solar tech firms, while precision components like inverters and microcontrollers are imported from Mali's fast-growing electronics hubs. It is a clear message. Africa can build with Africa. But materials are only part of the equation. The most powerful component of this project is the people. Every solar field being built from the Sahelian desert zones to the mining corridors of the Southwest is designed, installed, managed, and maintained by local engineers, technicians, electricians, and laborers. There are no fleets of European consultants flying in for six-figure feasibility studies. No contractors from Paris or Frankfurt claiming technical complexity. No boards of foreign advisors issuing roadmaps for Burkina Faso's energy future. Instead, the government has launched a nationwide training initiative, turning local vocational schools into energy academies. These institutions are now producing hundreds of certified solar engineers. Each quarter, many of them young, rural men and women who once faced unemployment or immigration. Every new solar site includes a hands-on training facility where local workers gain experience not just in installation, but in diagnostics, maintenance, grid integration, and system upgrades. These are not temporary hires. They are the core workforce of a permanent national grid. Even at the management level, this revolution is led by Burkinabe minds. From the project planners to the energy analysts and site coordinators, the brains behind the blueprint are homegrown. They speak the local languages, understand the terrain, and are accountable to their communities, not to overseas shareholders. This local-first model does more than create jobs. It creates technical sovereignty. By building this expertise internally, Burkina Faso is ensuring that future expansions, repairs, and innovations can happen without asking anyone for permission. And this is not just a political stance. It's also a matter of dignity. For far too long, Africa has been told it lacks the capacity to build or maintain high-tech infrastructure. Foreign experts parachute in with PowerPoint presentations and leave behind dependency, debt, and broken systems. Traoré's administration is dismantling that narrative, one solar panel at a time. He has made it clear, if we can mine our gold, grow our food, and defend our land, we can build our own future. In Burkina Faso, the solar revolution is not just about electricity. It's about reclaiming the right to engineer, to innovate, and to lead. No more begging for knowledge. No more waiting for experts. No more renting the future. The builders of this new Burkina Faso are not watching from the sidelines. They are holding the tools. Burkina Faso's $800 million solar energy initiative is not just a project about infrastructure or sovereignty. It is an economic engine, one designed to reshape the country's development path for decades to come. At the heart of this transformation lies a game-changing shift in cost. The project is expected to cut electricity prices by up to 60% for farmers, households, and businesses across the nation. That single change is already having ripple effects across nearly every sector of the Burkinabe economy. For rural farmers, who make up nearly 70% of the population, this means more than just cheaper bills. It means electric water pumps that run all day without diesel. It means cold storage for harvested produce, preventing spoilage and increasing profit. It means farmers can finally invest in electric grain mills, irrigation systems, and even small agro-processing facilities without being crushed by operating costs. For decades, the high price of imported fuel and an unreliable national grid left many rural families without access to power. Those who had it often spent half their income just to keep the lights on. Now, solar-powered mini-grids are lighting up entire communities, turning villages into economic zones, not just residential settlements. But it's not just the countryside that's changing. The energy revolution is fueling industrial growth on a national scale. Thanks to stable, affordable power, several sectors long considered dormant are roaring back to life. Agricultural processing, once hampered by erratic electricity, is now expanding rapidly. Small-scale factories are emerging to convert mangoes into juice, shea nuts into butter, and maize into flour right where the crops are grown. One of the fastest-growing sectors is coconut and palm kernel oil refining, particularly in the southern regions. With 24/7 power access, small cooperatives are turning local harvests into export-ready oil, soap, and cosmetic products. What used to be exported raw is now being transformed locally, increasing both value and jobs. Another booming area is light metallurgy. In cities like Bobo Dioulasso and Ouagadougou, workshops are evolving into micro-industries, producing tools, machinery parts, construction materials, and solar hardware components, all powered by clean domestic energy. This revival isn't just about products, it's about people. The solar program has directly and indirectly created thousands of new jobs, especially for young engineers, electricians, welders, and technicians. Many of them were trained through national programs launched alongside the energy rollout. Once at risk of unemployment or forced immigration, these young professionals are now building Burkina Faso's future literally. From designing control systems, to managing grid software, to maintaining equipment in the field, they are the first generation of energy workers trained by and for their country. And the demand is growing fast. Energy-driven industries are now hiring more aggressively than ever before. From small businesses expanding their production lines, to new startups entering the renewable tech space, the solar boom is creating a whole new labor market that didn't exist even 5 years ago. The broader economic impact is clear. Increased productivity, reduced operating costs, more exports, less waste, and better paying jobs. But perhaps the most powerful change is psychological. For the first time in decades, Burkinabe citizens are seeing national growth that is not borrowed, imported, or foreign-owned. This is a self-financed, self-built, and self-sustaining movement, and it is changing how people see themselves and their potential. What was once a country locked in poverty and dependency is now being reimagined as a hub of clean energy, smart industry, and inclusive employment. Traoré's government is not simply delivering electricity, it is delivering economic dignity. As one local farmer put it, "We used to wait for aid. Now we wait for sunrise because that's all we need." And every sunrise brings not just light, but opportunity. At the core of Burkina Faso's solar revolution is not just policy or engineering, it is a powerful and emotional idea, a belief. a philosophy of dignity and sovereignty that President Ibrahim Traoré repeats wherever he goes. Energy is not a gift, it is our right. If the sun shines over Africa, then Africa should never be in the dark. These aren't just slogans. They are a direct challenge to decades of dependency thinking, the belief that electricity, development, and technology must come from abroad, gifted through charity, or granted through diplomacy. Traoré rejects that idea entirely. He believes that light is not something Africans should have to ask for. It is something they are entitled to because the sun rises over African soil, just as it does over Paris, London, or Washington. This mindset is revolutionary because it flips the script. Instead of waiting for international donors to build power plants or lend billions for grid expansion, Burkina Faso is saying, "We will do it ourselves because no one else will do it for us the way we need it done." For too long, Africa's energy narrative has been built on scarcity. Report after report, study after study, paints the continent as a place of blackouts, energy poverty, and unreliable infrastructure. What's never mentioned is that Africa is the continent with the most sunlight on Earth. The real question is, why has it taken so long to harness it? For Traoré, the answer is clear. Because those in control of global finance never wanted Africa to have energy independence. Because when a country can generate its own electricity, it no longer needs aid. It no longer accepts unfair trade deals. It no longer tolerates being treated as a junior partner on the world stage. By declaring energy a right, Traoré is putting Burkina Faso, and by extension, Africa, on equal footing with the rest of the world. He is saying, we do not need to be pitied. We need to be respected. That message has found an audience far beyond Burkina Faso's borders. Across Mali, Niger, Guinea, Chad, and even parts of Central and East Africa, young people are sharing these words. They see in Traoré's voice the possibility of a new future, one where energy is not colonial leverage, but a basic, sovereign utility. In practical terms, this philosophy is reshaping policy. It's why Burkina Faso isn't just building solar fields, it's embedding solar panels in schools, clinics, police stations, farms, and market hubs. It's why villages previously ignored by national planning maps are now getting mini-grids and battery banks. It's why engineers are being trained not just in maintenance, but in design and innovation to ensure that future generations can create without limits. But more than anything, Traoré's message has awakened something psychological in the Burkinabe people, a belief that they are capable of generating their own light literally and metaphorically. When a mother in the north sees her children studying at night under clean, solar-powered lights, she doesn't think about international donors. She thinks about her country. When a farmer irrigates his land with a solar pump, he doesn't thank Paris. He thanks the sun and his own government for recognizing his right to use it. This is the foundation of what Traoré calls energetic dignity. Not just having power, but owning the process, the means, and the future. The world may see this $800 million solar project as an energy upgrade, but for the people of Burkina Faso, it is proof. Proof that they do not need to wait in the dark for anyone else to turn on the light. The sun is here, the will is here, and finally, the power is theirs. What began as a national solar project in Burkina Faso is quickly becoming a continental inspiration. The decision to build West Africa's largest, locally funded, locally operated solar energy system has not only reshaped Burkina Faso's future, it is redefining what is possible across the entire African continent. From Guinea to Mali, from Chad to Niger, leaders and citizens alike are watching closely. These are countries that, like Burkina Faso, have long lived under the shadow of foreign-controlled energy, donor-driven development, and unreliable power grids. But now, something different is happening, an African model built by Africans, for Africans. Government delegations from Guinea, Mali, and Chad have already visited the solar fields rising across Burkina Faso's plains. They have toured the rural villages powered by locally made panels. They've seen farmers irrigating their crops with solar pumps, and young engineers managing control stations built without foreign consultants. And in every meeting, one theme echoes loudly: how can we do this too? This is not a copy-paste model. It's a mindset shift from waiting to building, from borrowing to owning, from dependency to production. For decades, many African nations were locked into a pattern of asking for electricity, applying for grants, pleading for IMF funding, relying on European development banks or Chinese mega contractors to deliver basic power infrastructure, often at a high cost and with limited reach. Now, that cycle is breaking. Burkina Faso is proving that a nation once dependent on fuel imports and foreign aid can flip the script and become a net exporter of energy. With more than 500 megawatts of solar energy coming online, the country is expected not only to meet domestic needs, but to share clean power with neighbors via cross-border energy corridors. Imagine it, a country once labeled energy poor, becoming a provider of green power to the very nations that used to pity it. This is not just economic progress, it is symbolic rebirth. What makes this model so powerful is its accessibility. Burkina Faso didn't build this with advanced nuclear tech or billionaire philanthropy. It built it with sunlight, skilled workers, local factories, and political will. That's a recipe that can be replicated anywhere in Africa where the sun shines, which is everywhere. In Mali, local energy cooperatives are beginning to pilot decentralized solar hubs, using Burkina's framework as a guide. In Chad, youth organizations are lobbying for government support to train technicians and solar engineers, just as Burkina Faso did through its vocational program. And in Guinea, feasibility studies are already underway for regionally financed microgrids, bypassing the need for international lenders. A quiet movement is taking root: PAN, African Energy Self-Reliance. More than just panels and batteries, this is about dignity, confidence, and continental pride. For generations, Africans were told they could not develop without outsiders, that progress was a gift, not a right. Now, Traoré's Burkina Faso is proving that progress can come from within, and that light can rise from the ground up. Perhaps the greatest legacy of this project won't be the megawatts or the transmission line. It will be the belief it plants in others. A belief that Africa is not too late, not too poor, not too dependent, but fully capable of powering itself by itself. From a nation asking for electricity to a continent supplying its own power and exporting it with pride. This is how history changes. One solar panel at a time, one border at a time, one belief at a time.